Don't think I've been on this machine for about 15 years. It's usually John's baby.
Been a while.
John is not here. He's got the lurgy, hasn't he, mate?
He does.
So we are on our own this week, unfortunately, and it's given me a great opportunity to clean up this area, which John mainly works.
We don't come in here a lot, do we?
We don't have to come in here because
doesn't look trick enough on camera.
No, he's the cylinder head man, isn't he? Really. So we sort of leave him alone in here. But if I'm going to work in here, mate, it's got to be a little bit cleaner, unfortunately. And we've got a few heads to do. One being this one here, which is the Cosworth head that's going with that bottom end that you're doing, the one that the guy picked up from the place that lost a few bits. So. What I'm doing here, mate, we've had a bit of welding done on this cylinder head.
Oh, is this the one that was welded up, is it?
So this is the one that's welded up. I don't think this, because I've got two Cosy heads that have been welded at the minute. This is not the one that we got welded, is it? It's the one that the customer
got
welded.
yeah.
Oh,
the other one's
very
still
confusing.
down with Tom, I think.
Very confusing. So what I'm doing here, mate, is just finishing off the job that was not finished after it was welded. So he's had it all welded up here. These seats are all original, I do believe. It was ported by the chap that had it before, but it wasn't finished. So we've just got to finish it off. But obviously where it had a bit of a clang up in here or it needed welding, I think they'd removed two seats. No, it didn't have a clang up, but he's removed the two seats to weld it all up.
Right.
So what I've done is
some bad corrosion, welded it up.
Yeah, so they've took the seats out and I've ordered two new seats. So when we're ordering seats and fitting them, mate, we use a company called Gosnells. I'm sure as many people heard of those if you're in the engine building game. And what I do is obviously measure up, first of all, if we can, measure up an existing seat. And we don't want to go too much bigger on the seat. We want to stay as close to that as possible, externally and internally.
You've got to go a little bit oversized on the outside because you need a fresh bore for them to
That's correct.
Into. It's a bit like reboring a block, really, isn't it?
It is really, yeah. And we run a 6 thou interference, believe it or not, on these.
Yep.
And we find 6 thou is the sweet spot, not 5 and not 7.
Yep.
And that tends to work very well. If you run any more than that, it can start removing aluminium out of the head when you insert them. Right. So what we tend to do is warm the head, cool down the insert, and we put them in with some compound, which is like it's not a glue as such, but it's like a heat dissipation. Is that the correct word? Dissipation?
Yeah, I think so.
So obviously where it's been welded up, we just make sure that the insert that we're going to be buying is first of all 6 thou, at least 6 thou, more than that.
Yeah.
And usually more, because we're not guaranteed that when we've got new guides in there, it's going to be true. Yeah. So we want to be making sure that when we do a full cut, it's going to be removing material from the whole way round, not just one side, because that's going to give you a false reading and it's going to end up oval. I've worked that out, and then what we do is get something that's as close as possible internally, so we haven't got to remove much material. If we can get something that's bang on that we need, ideal, but usually not, so we get something that's as close to on the smaller side. Yeah. And then what we want, mate, is the correct depth. So we have got here, it's 5.5 deep. So we have gone and got a 6.4 mil. So when that's in, there's going to be getting on 1.5 mil protruding. That's fine because we can face that to the height that we want.
So you don't want to have, say you've got a 9 mil thick one, which would be, that's excessive, but you don't want that, or if you don't want to have to go down that far because you'd start breaking into the water jacket. And
no, you want to go as obviously as shallow as you need to. Yeah. Really. I personally don't want to go any less than about 5.5 deep. If you do, then the more depth you can get away with, the better, really, because obviously
you don't want to go too thin anywhere or break
that interference is going to be all across that whole depth.
Yeah, so that outer face is the interference fit, basically, and you want more of that.
I'm doing it again. I'm working in imperial and metric in my own head, and everyone's like, what the hell is going on here?
Thing is, I do it as well now.
Yeah. So I think I can the reason being is because I was pretty much brought up on imperial. So I can visualise a thou, I can visualise 6 thou, but I find it very hard to visualise 0.025 of a mil, or even 0.15 of a mil. It don't mean nothing to me.
I don't know why, but like if you're talking about decimal, you know, reading in decimal, not like talking fractions and stuff, but I find imperial so much simpler.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, metric confuses me, and
it confuses
imperial
me.
is just inches, whereas metric you go millimeters, and then you're jumping up to, you know, then people start using centimeters once you get bigger. And
This is the
do you know
trouble.
what I mean? It's just like a bit weird.
Unfortunately, here, a lot of the parts that we use, like say pistons, it's a metric size, so you have to sort of convert it to imperial, or the other way around. They'll give you a clearance in metric, but the piston size will be in imperial, and you have to basically be able to work both, don't you?
You do, and because of different eras and everything, there's loads of different, you know, all this stuff. Really, I suppose the YBs are mostly metric.
Yeah.
Mostly being, you know, there's still some stuff that's
that's it.
imperial about them.
This machine here, this Myra Centronic, mate, we've shown people this before, but I haven't shown it to them for quite a while. So if you're a new subscriber to the channel, you probably won't have seen this. So this is called a Myra Centronic. Another equivalent to this type of valve seat cutting machine would be a Surdy.
Yeah.
Something like that, which a lot of people use, but we love the Myra. The old head was a CNC head,
yeah,
so it used to find itself self-centering. That's not available anymore because it broke and we were going to buy a new head, non-available. When it turned up, it was this one, which is actually a manual version.
Which weirdly, we've all sort of said is a bit easier to use.
Easier to use.
More reliable.
Just as much, if not as accurate.
Yeah, probably more, I think.
If not more. But basically, guys, what we do is we've got a tool in here. So we pick a tool that we need. So this is a three-face valve seat cut-in. So when people say on like performance heads, we want the three-face, you know, the free seat.
Free seat angles.
That's the one. Then we can do that. And all it's done is a pre-formed tool, like this one, if I can find one. Right, so this is one of our standard 45-degree cutting tools. It's a three-face tool, so we've got a 60 on the inside, a 30 on the outside, and a 45 in the middle.
So that will be quite a small, quite a narrow 45-degree.
This is a 1.5 mil.
Yeah.
You can get a 2 mil, which we'll use on the bigger sort of commercially stuff.
Yeah.
But the 1.5 mil is what we use on like sort of motorsporty stuff, performance stuff, and general modern engines.
Yeah.
And they all most of them run a 45-degree seat.
So you could manually cut 3 different angles, you know, use
and I have
60,
done in the past.
then a 45, then a 30.
I do on things like if I'm putting bigger valves in a head, say like a BMW 6-cylinder, I used to do quite a lot of big valve head conversions on that, using the existing seats. What I will do is cut the 45-degree seat, depending where you want that 45 or where you want the valve to sit on that big 45-degree seat on the very outside. I can then put a 60 on the inside up to the bottom of the seat. The 45.
So like on the lower half of the.
Yeah. And then we can then cut like a 30 into the top just to make it flow into that 45 and down the port. So,
but the idea of that tool is that it just does all of that in one hit.
All of that.
It's pre-formed and.
Exactly. One hit, mate. Bang. So all you have to do is keep it loose in there. You've got a pilot here. So you've got loads of pilots in the top here, all different sizes, basically varying about 2 thou. Something like that through the board, going from 6 to 8 mil.
Yep.
We have got bigger and smaller. But they're like the general fitments. And what you do is you find a pilot that slides in the best fit. You don't want it too tight, but you don't want it too loose that it's going to be.
It's like really tight. It's
you want it basically as snug as you can. And then you put this in loosely, put the tool down onto the existing seat if you already have one. And you can sort of see where it's going to sit. Failing that, if you haven't got a seat already on like this, if you're putting all new inserts in and you've got no 45 to start with, what we can do. So what you do is you put a valve in this clamp type device there, and that pointer on the left, we have pointing at the base, try and find a bit of light, at the bottom of the 45-degree. And then what we do is we take the valve out and we put to this device on the bottom of or put it onto our guide. I'm trying to do it one-handed, guys. When we've got this tool in here, the 45, what we do is we set that tool over and have the bottom of the 45, the centre is the 45, so the bottom bit there will go in line with that pointer, and then you know that that tool is set. So when you put a cut down onto your insert, that the 45-degree angle is going to be exactly in line with the bottom of this valve. So that is how we set that up, guys. I shall probably do a little bit more on the Centronic once I've got the valve seats in. It'll probably be Friday now, and I can show you exactly how I set that tool and put it in action. But it is, what, 10 past? Oh, it's about 6 o'clock now, and we're still going. Isaac is still here. He's outside in the dark trying to fix the Renault Clio, guys. Whether he puts that on his own channel, I haven't got him to hold the camera because he's having a bit of a mare out there trying to get some gears apparently, but he's nearly there. So just before we go today, guys, I'm just going to update you a little bit, very exciting, on the E30 BMW. As it is at the moment, Ryan is setting an entire month to spend on the car to get it complete. Said that in the last video, I'm sure. But we're looking at the moment sort of March. So by the end of March, very hopefully, all being well, the car will be finished, or the shell. And then it will be bring it back here time and let's get it built up. So I have been looking around at all the parts we've got, obviously up in the mezzanine also. And I forgot really how much we've actually spent on this car and how much parts we've actually got. But what I'm trying to do is get to a point where before the shell is actually painted, we've got everything in the car, welded, holes drilled, all that we need. So what I've got to do next week is take the freshly flocked dash. So that was the dash that was in the car when we bought the car. So we know that that fits around the existing roll cage. Great. But it was a little bit cable tied in. So what we've got to do is make some bracket. I've got to put that in the car. I'm going to go over with Tom Upton and we're going to come up with a bracket system that maybe we need to weld to the car to hold that dash a bit better and a bit firmer. I've managed to buy a panel that fits, obviously you can see up there where our AIM dash is going to go. So we've got that purpose moulded E30 lovely little panel there that holds the AIM screen, but we have actually bought a panel that fits and blocks all that area there in the centre. So what we're going to have in the centre of that, nice and neatly, right in the middle, we're going to have our 15 push button pad that goes in there, the AIM one, and then we're going to run some sort of, if I just go on my computer here, we're probably for the engine, like the ignition and starter and stuff like that, going to be using something like that, guys, where that goes on the roll cage above your head or slightly sort of to the middle on the roll bar there, and that looks very trick, all lights up, looks funky, and that is sort of out the way, so it keeps it all minimalist in there. Lovely jubbly. So that's where we are at the moment. As I say, I'm going to be heading over there with Tom next week. He's going to be putting in some bars, which I'm going to be showing you, to hold all the wiring inside the car. So we're going to be making it pretty DTM, but really exciting, guys. Can't wait. Is the E30 going to be finished this year? Looking that way to me. Have a great evening, and we will see you on Friday. Cheers, guys.